Let's say you're scrolling through Instagram, come across this ad for something that you actually use very frequently. You realize that actually this is from a brand that you use. The fourth time you come across this product in an ad, you see it being used by one of your favorite personalities online. 6 months before, you actually purchased a product that you saw them using because you kind of liked how it made them look. Don't worry, I won't tell them because you're too cool. 3 weeks later, you are running out. So you walk into the store and you decide to go ahead and make the purchase. And all of a sudden, something that you didn't even know existed 30 days before is now sitting in your home with the rest of your hygiene products in your bathroom. That's what you call positioning for visibility. My name is Agnes, and welcome to Position for Vision, where we believe that every God-given vision is meant to be seen, cultivated, and fulfilled. As you can imagine, I'm your host. And today we're talking about positioning for visibility, or in other words, how to be seen. And it would surprise you that this isn't only a business marketing strategy, this is a biblical strategy. Yes, you heard that right. It is a biblical strategy, and I'll show you how in just a second. Let's say you're scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, your favorite media channel. You come across this ad for something that you actually use very frequently. Let's say, for instance, it's a cleanser or a deodorant. And at first, because it's the first time you've seen it, you probably just swipe right past it. You realize that actually this is from a brand that you use. Now you make a mental note of it. The fourth time you come across this product in an ad, you see it being used by one of your favorite personalities online, maybe an influencer. Matter of fact, 6 months before, you actually purchased a product that you saw them using because you kind of liked how it made them look, or you've seen a lot of reviews and that just nailed it for you. Don't worry, I won't tell them because you're too cool. And after that, can you imagine 3 weeks later, you are running out of that cleanser, that deodorant. You have about 2 pumps or 3 spritz left of the deodorant, of the cleanser, and you are done. So you walk into the store and you decide to go ahead and make the purchase. And all of a sudden, something that you didn't even know existed 30 days before is now sitting in your home with the rest of your hygiene products in your bathroom. That's what you call positioning for visibility. In just those few minutes, I've taken you through the entire advertising life cycle. Agnes, what do you mean? What do you mean? Don't worry. Number 1 is awareness. Number 2 is brand recognition. Number 3 is brand equity. And number 4 is preference. It's not only, again, a business marketing strategy, it is a biblical strategy. The first time you saw the product on your feed as you were scrolling, you didn't pay attention to it because typically it takes a few times to develop awareness. It takes a few times of seeing something to become aware of what the messaging is, what the product is. Most established brands, most credible marketing agencies are not going to make sure you see something just once. They're going to make sure it comes across your feed 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe more. The third time, it registers in your mind that, okay, this is a new product that this brand just launched, because you're not doom scrolling on TikTok trying to find something funny to escape from your life. Anyways, the fourth time you see that influencer, that creator that you actually really like, don't worry, again, I won't tell them, because you have established trust with that person. Now the brand gains trust from you. They're attaching themselves to the equity that the creator has, right? And are building a community, building trust based on the trust that the creator has already established with you. And so at that point in time is when the brand has brand equity in your eyes. So that's how they take someone that has no idea the product even exists and makes them into a paying customer. All right, Agnes, I'm following. It's marketing and business strategy, but how exactly is it biblical? Let me bring you Bible. Let's take it back to the story of Ruth and Naomi. And it starts off a bit tragic. Both Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, and Ruth and Orpah, her sister, lose their husbands. So in the same time, all 3 of their husbands pass away. And so Naomi tells her daughters-in-law, essentially, there's nothing left for you here, and find someone else and rebuild your life in that way. What Ruth says is, wherever you go, I go. Your God will be my God, your people will be my people. So she was not letting up. She followed Naomi to a town called Bethlehem, where they encountered their future. Ruth could have easily went back to her own home as a Moabite woman, because she had nothing to do with Bethlehem. Especially even after a tragic situation, that is your natural inclination. You want to be comforted in that way. And so for her to abandon everything that she knew to go to Bethlehem with her mother-in-law was very courageous and very telling of her character. That is the first thing, because whenever you come across a season filled with a lot of unfortunate events, sometimes that is a pulling to do something very different. That is the inclination that you need to push yourself, because you're already in a place where there's less that you can lose. I'm not saying you can't lose anything, but you're already in a situation where there's less to lose. So if there's ever a chance to take a chance, it's then. And so Ruth makes that bold step and has courage and leaves to follow her mother-in-law to the town of Bethlehem. And there they encounter a man called Boaz. Now let me read to you Ruth chapter 2 in verses 1, starting in verses 1. It says, "Now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing from the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, 'Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor.' Naomi said to her, 'Go ahead, my daughter.' And she went out and entered a field and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech." I'll pause right there, because even in that circumstance, by necessity, Ruth identified an opportunity, and it forced her to do something and to be in an environment that she wasn't in before. That is the first step, okay? It's being courageous, not just to leave something, but to start something, to do something. You can leave maybe an association, you can leave maybe a career path, you can leave something, but if you don't do anything else or in place of that, you might as well just still be there. It's like you never left. You have to start doing something. That is your call to a new initiative. And it's funny to me that if Ruth never left with Naomi, she would have never met him. Because here I see that Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a relative of Naomi's, okay, through marriage. But Ruth does not have any real connection to him. Boaz was an established man, but Ruth would have never encountered Boaz if it wasn't for taking that bold step and choosing to do something, looking for an opportunity somewhere, putting herself in the position, for that opportunity. I love the fact that through this step alone, deciding and taking the initiative to go work in his field, she establishes a connection, right? Something that, although they have mutual contacts, there are mutuals there, okay? She still would have never had the opportunity to make real contact if she didn't take the bold step and take that initiative. How to be seen. In Ruth chapter 2 and verse 5, it says, "Boaz asked the overseer of his harvesters, 'Who does that young woman belong to?' The overseer replied, 'She is a Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. She said, 'Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the harvesters.' She came to the field and has remained here from morning until now, except for a short rest in the shelter." Now Boaz goes to Ruth and says this to Ruth: "My daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field. Don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I've told the men not to lay a hand on you. And whenever you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars the men have filled." At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground. She asked him, "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner?" It says, in verse 11, Boaz replied, "I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and your mother and your homeland and came to live with the people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." In just these few verses, Ruth makes people aware of her presence. Okay, she makes people aware of her presence, and then she makes people recognize her. Boaz asks, "Who does this young woman belong to?" Because he realizes that she is not one of the usuals in the fields. So who does she belong to? And somebody tells him about her. Taking it a step further, in verses 11 through 13, we realize that Ruth already has brand equity in the eyes of Boaz. She already came with a good reputation. She already came with credibility because of the things that he heard that she has done for her mother-in-law. I'll stop right there and tell you that people, they might have never spoken to you a day in their life, but they know you for something. The question is, what do they know you for? When they think about your name, when they see a picture of you on social media, when they come across you during a function, event, a wedding, anything, what do they think about you? What is the first thing that comes into their mind? When it came to Ruth, she already had brand equity in the eyes of Boaz because of the good things, the sacrifices, the commitment that she made to her mother-in-law. It is because of that Boaz was so kind to her. Just because of that. Mind you, before this, they have never interacted. Before this, Boaz didn't know what Ruth looked like. But she came with a reputation that was good enough for somebody to show her kindness, to show her favor. She had to find an opportunity, even in this horrible situation. Again, her husband just died. She just had to leave everything that she's known. She's with her mother-in-law. I can imagine they don't have money if they're trying to figure out where to get their next meal. And because of that, because of all the things that she had done for her mother-in-law, Boaz already trusted her. When you've gone through all the trouble of building and establishing trust with someone, with an organization, this is the mistake that you do not want to make. Someone goes to the store looking in search of that product. You're there in the section and you cannot for the life of you find the product. Unfortunately, it's sold out. Brands and stores have to carefully measure and project the kind of volume that they need in order to make the most sales while reducing waste. So it would be unfortunate if you build this audience for this specific product and you do not have enough to go around. When it comes time for you to turn a lead to a customer, okay, turn that trust, that relationship into something a little bit more valuable to you, you want to make sure that you're there. You want to make sure that, in fact, you're not just there, you're closer, okay? You're more engaged. You want to be a little bit more locked in and cued in to whatever is going on, whether that is, and bear in mind, this is not just about relationships, because I know somebody is going to hear about Ruth and Boaz and immediately they're just going to think relationships because that's all we can think about.
God have mercy upon us.
But this goes far beyond romantic relationship. This stands for business opportunities. This stands for professional opportunities. This stands for friendships and marriage. Okay, so that is not unincluded. And so make sure that when you've done all of the work, that you're the closest so that you can be the preferred. If you're the preferred, but you're not there, you're nowhere to be found, they're going to choose somebody else. Somebody else is going to get what you've been working for. Let me show you how Ruth and Naomi secure their position. In Ruth chapter 3 and verses 1, it says, "One day Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, 'My daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for. Now Boaz, with whose woman you have worked, is a relative of ours. Tonight he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, and get dressed in the best clothes.'" That alone should tell you you have to look like what you want. But that can be a conversation for another day. Continuing in verse 3, it says, "Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know that you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he is lying. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." Like the wise mother-in-law that she is, she provides Ruth a bit of guidance and tells her to go closer and to, at this point, take a bold step. She decides to go to the threshing floor and interact more closely with Boaz. And in that interaction, Boaz is just so appreciative of her company, of the fact that even Ruth took notice of him. So you would imagine that Ruth should be the one that is so happy and glad, which she already was, of the fact that Boaz took notice of her. But in the opposite way, Boaz was happy that Ruth took notice of him and said to her, "This kindness is greater than that which you've shown earlier. You've not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. Now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town will know that you are a woman of noble character." Again, going back to that character, that brand equity. And not because of that, she has even doubled down on that trust, on building that relationship. Sometimes you have to just take it a step further with people. When you're building a new friendship, let's say for instance, you actually want to get past the small talk and the, hello. You want to get to the FaceTimes, right? You want to get to the outings. You have to take it a step further. You have to do something that establishes another new level of trust. Let's say helping them out in a difficult situation or offering help, even if they didn't ask for it. Those are the kind of things that allow someone to deepen their trust and relationship with you. And so that is exactly what Ruth does. She puts herself in a place of proximity, right? That would allow him to feel appreciated, that would allow him to feel seen. And so just as you're wanting to be seen, just as we're positioning ourselves for visibility, there are people that also want to be seen. Brands also want to be seen. That's why they use people that already have a platform and tactics, right? Like Instagram, putting ads on Instagram that will make people see them. He also wants to be seen, right? And Ruth needed to be seen. She wanted to be seen out of necessity, but he wanted to be seen to be appreciated. And sometimes showing a little bit of appreciation, right? Showing a little bit of recognition, giving someone a thank you is enough to take you to that next step where somebody wants to favor you in a different way. Ruth and Naomi made sure that they didn't miss out on this opportunity, because after all of the work that had been done, she came closer. She drew closer. She took a little bit more of a risk, put herself out there just a little bit more to establish, right? To establish a connection, to establish a relationship, to establish trust in a way that would make her someone else's preference. Now, see, Ruth didn't have to beg, didn't have to plead. Boaz took the initiative and decided to be her redeemer, decided to help her out in this situation, right? And he wanted to do it the right way, of course. So he went through all the, protocols of the time. And then he sealed the deal and decided to marry Ruth. Verse 8 says, "So the guardian redeemer said to Boaz, 'Buy it yourself.' And he removed his sandal. Then Boaz announced to the elders and all the people, 'Today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth, the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, as my wife in order to maintain the name of the deed with his property, so that his name will not disappear among his family or from his hometown. Today you are witnesses.'" So because of all of this, Ruth has saved her husband's legacy. Ruth has saved her property, because back then women couldn't have estates like that. No, it had to be under the management and care of a man. She saved the wealth that was already existing in her family, but she didn't really have access to just because of the politics of being a woman at the time. And finally, she saved her future. She saved her own future because of that act of courage, of putting herself in the place to be seen. Today, I challenge you to take a bold step in a new way that you haven't done before, to put yourself in a place to be seen, whether that is in your workplace, whether that is on social media, whether that is concerning a friendship that you care about. Take a bold step and put yourself out there to be at the right place at the right time. And how will you know that it is the right time? You become a little bit restless. There's a situation that tells you that it's time to do something new, to take a new initiative, to turn a page. And for that reason, you will know that it's time to be seen. And you have to make yourself seen. That has been another episode of Position for Vision, and I've enjoyed this conversation with you. If you're looking for more content, please be sure to follow and like for more, and we'll be coming with more. Until next time, stay blessed and stay positioned. Bye.